Good morning. It is a beautiful sunny Tuesday morning. Just dropped the kids off at school. Headed home. But it is Talk Tuesday. And we have plenty to talk about. So we'll get into that shortly.
Shut up and sit down.
Well, here we are, another Tuesday. Figure I'll take my walk and we can talk on the walk. We might come down here to the park and maybe sit down for a minute. Well, the NFL, that topic's still going strong. I think we're giving them way more attention than they need or deserve. I guess when you're a multi-millionaire, you feel entitled. And that the regular people like us that work for and scrape for a living, our opinions don't carry as much weight. But from what it looks like, ticket sales are down, the stadiums aren't filling up, and according to the new stats, viewership is down as well. So best thing you can do for something like that in a situation like this is hit them where it hurts, and that's in the wallet. I did see something online, and I'm not sure if it's accurate or not. I didn't research it. So if you know for sure, or you have access to knowing for sure if this statement is correct, please put it in the link down below. Mention it in the comments. But the NFL, in their own rule book, actually have a section dedicated to the national anthem. And it states, and I'm not quoting, I'm kind of just filling in the gaps, that during the national anthem, the team, coaches, and personnel will be on the sideline. They will be at attention, helmet in their left hand, in respect to the national anthem. Deviating from any of these rules could result in fines, suspension, and forfeit of the game. Forfeit of the game, not forfeit. Is that even a word? So, seems to me that if that's in their book, then the NFL is doing nothing about it. Now, there are teams out there that have put out letters to explain their actions. And really, as I said last Tuesday, they're not using the appropriate platform. They get paid a lot of money to put on a show. That's what we talked about. It's entertainment. The first responders, U.S. military personnel, and because that's their job title, we look at them as heroes. But in my book, they're not the only heroes. I mean, our teachers are our heroes. Our city workers are heroes. I mean, they do things on a daily basis to help everybody in the society, and that's their job, and I think a lot of them are underappreciated. They don't make multi-million-dollar contracts. Teachers are extremely underpaid. Police officers are extremely underpaid. So, in my opinion, I think that the NFL players are outside their realm of job description. You hear the joke, somebody says, will you do this? No, that's above my pay grade. Or can you find out this? Nope, that's above my pay grade. Well, I guess when you're a multi-millionaire and a football player, nothing's above your pay grade, so you get to do what you want and say what you want and have no consequences, which I completely disagree with. But that's all the time I'm going to give to the NFL today, because there's other things going on that have way more substance. I want to talk about the incident in Las Vegas. And first, I want to say my prayers and my thoughts go out to the families and the people that were affected by this tragedy, because this is a legitimate tragedy. The biggest tragedy or travesty is that I guess now a NAFTA has taken credit for this act, saying that it was one of their members that was the shooter. And I guess this is their way of saying we're giving it back to the man. Giving it to the man. Something from the 70s. Sticking it to the man. But if I recall, what just occurred, if I'm not mistaken, is an act of terrorism. And when we have an act of terrorism, we combat that terrorism. So just like the attack on the Twin Towers, just like the attack, the Boston Marathon, and all the other terrorist attacks, we retaliated. We took action. So to me, it seems extremely legitimate to take action against a NAFTA. Because if a NAFTA is claiming responsibility for a terrorist act, then that makes them a terror cell, which means our government has the right to act in accordance to that threat. Now, feel free to leave comments down there. I'll respond to each and every one of them. And if this progresses and things go good with Talk Tuesday, I think that every other Tuesday will be a live broadcast so that I can actually answer your questions as we're recording. I shouldn't say recording because it'll be live, so that was an oxymoron. But I do welcome your thoughts. I do welcome your opinion, and be respectful, and I will be respectful in return. But what happened in Vegas is horrific. A man can sneak that many weapons into a hotel room in Vegas, break out a window, and I've been in Vegas, those windows don't break. You got to get some to get them out. And then opens fire on a defenseless crowd. To me, he's a coward. A weak coward. I guess I grew up in a different era. I'm 45 years old, and I grew up that if you had a beef with somebody, you stood toe to toe and you got it handled. I grew up in an era when, in high school you had a problem with somebody, you called them out and everybody showed up. It was one-on-one, nobody jumped in, you handled your business. Win, lose, no matter what, you handled your business. And I gotta say, 8 out of 10 times, you stood up, shook hands, and everything was straight after that. But to open fire on a defenseless crowd, that is a cowardice act. And I call it how it is. That guy's a coward. Weak in every way. Mentally, physically, he was weak. So, I welcome the comments, as I said. But this monster, I'm going to call him a monster, a weak monster, scares little kids underneath the bed, a weak monster, kills 50 plus people, injures 400 plus more. To what end? What purpose did it serve? What what message was sent, because like I said last Tuesday, I use this platform because I have the freedom of speech. I don't have the freedom to commit violence. I don't have the freedom to commit vandalism, but I do have the freedom of speech, as do you. But I don't see how his actions, and NAFTA taking credit for those actions, gets to pull across a positive or even a list. We can't even listen to the message they're trying to put across. You can't even sit down and have a conversation about the message they're trying to sit across. They are acting as terrorists, and as terrorists we should respond in such. We have a right to defend ourselves, we have a right to defend our family, we have a right to defend our property. The United States is our home. Now, we're all immigrants at some point. Somewhere in our line, we immigrated here. Whether it was your great-great-grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, either way, at some point, we're here because somebody in our line immigrated here and made this their home and made it our home through generations. Now, I'm not going to say that our ancestors handled it appropriately and some of the things they did weren't atrocities in themselves, because they were. I'm not going to try and stand here and say this is my land and we own this land and we deserve to be here. Well, honestly, we don't. Because of what they did to get this land, kind of put a dark shadow over all of us for the generations to come, still. I saw something on YouTube, I watched an interview on YouTube yesterday that really got to me. There was a Trump rally going on, and some protesters from Black Lives Matter were there, chanting and doing their thing, but they were doing it peacefully. They were using their words, not their bodies or clubs or bats. And the speaker for the Trump rally called him up on stage, the guy that was the head of that group of Black Lives Matter. He called him up on stage and he told the crowd, he says, listen, this is a land that gives us the right to freedom of speech and we all have our opinions. And I think we should give them 2 minutes to tell us what they think. And they did. They gave this gentleman the microphone and he did his spill, and at some points the crowd cheered for him, at some points the crowd booed him. But in the end, there was no violence. There was no altercation. Both sides got heard, and by the end of it, they were all shaking hands. They were walking around taking pictures together. That's what happens when you communicate. That's what happens when you have a conversation. That was a good video, and I'll try to find the link and get it down below. But what happened in Vegas? Pointless, senseless, mindless. No purpose whatsoever. It holds zero political point. Okay, and NAFTA, we took credit. Woo! So if you're going to take credit for a terrorist act, then be prepared for the consequences that our government uses against terrorists. See, now me, not real worried. Where I live, it is still a beautiful small town. Other than the news, we're not very affected by the outside political garbage that's going on. But I can tell you this, in this town, if a NAFTA would have put one of those on and started busting up buildings or causing harm to people, wouldn't have lasted very long. We have an amazing police force here, and we have a lot of armed citizens, legal armed citizens. It wouldn't last very long. So, this is my closing point. My prayers and thoughts go out to those families and the people that were affected by the Las Vegas shooting. And I hope that my viewers will do the same. And I think that if anybody watches this and gets where I'm coming from, then some changes need to be made. And then if NAFTA wants to act like terrorists, then they should be treated like terrorists. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.